What's up, guys? It is Lite Crypto here again, and today we're going to be talking about hardware wallets for a change. I actually got a free review copy from OneKey to basically review their latest model known as OneKey Pro. Previously, we did review the OneKey Classic on the channel as well, so in case you're looking for something more lightweight and definitely more affordable model, you should check out that review as well, alongside with my playlist where we have reviewed many other crypto hardware wallets. But let's now focus on OneKey Pro, which is coming in two different colors. There's a black and white version, and it is currently being priced at $278, which basically makes it the third or the second most expensive hardware wallet in the space after Ledger Stacks and Ledger Flex, which are brand new models from Ledger. So it's definitely more on the higher end in terms of the pricing when it comes to these hardware wallets, as some of the cheapest ones are roughly around like $50 or something like that. But then again, those are usually button-based hardware wallets, and this one is actually coming with an actual touchscreen. So if you want touchscreen based hardware wallets, they are often or not like priced above $150 and above. So in terms of like comparing it to the current market conditions of the premium entries, it is, I think, kind of competitive price with Ledger. Now, what are some other things that this is basically offering us? So it's secured by EAL 6+ certified chips. So there's obviously a level of security attached into this wallet. It is also air-gapped. There's a fingerprint login available. This is optional. You are going to be also having Bluetooth support, so that is going to be the way you're going to be connecting this device into your phone when you're going to be linking it up. There's also, obviously, as I just mentioned, there's the touchscreen. There's going to be also wireless charging, which might be the only one that is actually offering us this type of charging out there. There's also security key. There's USB-C connection and support, and there's also a full platform support. So there's an application, a companion application on phone, and then there's also a desktop application plus 5,000 coins supported. That is obviously tokens, not actually 5,000 different chains. That is a very important caveat. The review copy that I got was for the white wallet, but I definitely like the black more. So if I got actually the option to change, I would have gone for the black, but everybody has their own personal preference. And when it comes to like the security, obviously I am not a security expert. I don't remember what EAL versions the other wallets were basically used for tampering and all that type of stuff. I think in terms of those types of securities, I think the security levels are pretty much similar to each other. They're not really drastically improved in that size. And I think, you know, with all the security measures that are usually in place with these hardware wallets, they are pretty secure. So aside from Ledger, obviously, which has been going through controversy after another alongside with Trezor. So maybe those are not the best ones, but other ones that we have reviewed on the channel, I think they have been pretty secure, and I haven't really come across any forms of, you know, problems when it came to actually using them in terms of security concerns. And there's also an air-gap signing with camera, and that is a pretty good one. So it comes along with QR code, so basically you can scan it to your desktop application, and it seems to be a high-definition camera, so it's a pretty accurate one for that. And then there's also the fingerprint, which is entangled into the power button, which is pretty nice. I usually tend to prefer that there would be more than one button on devices in general. I'm not a very big fan of the full touchscreen experience. That's my 2 cents. Then again, I wouldn't really think about should there be any type of other buttons there, maybe like a reset thing or something like that. But fundamentally, like, it's not too bad. And then there's obviously the actual unboxing. So it comes along with a couple of different things inside. There's a couple of cards which come along with where you can basically write down your seed phrase. There's also a USB charger that comes along with it, USB-C to C. And then there's obviously a couple of, like, you know, stickers and things like that. And, you know, obviously a manual. So in terms of the unboxing, it's a pretty lightweight device. It's not very heavy. I did say that the older classic versions probably a bit more less heavier, but they're pretty much on the same ballpark. They don't feel heavy. We have reviewed a couple of other hardware wallets which are definitely a bit more heavier to use, but it's about the preference really when it comes to that. Now, in terms of other features that are actually available, there's also an NFT gallery, which is very nice. So not many of these hardware wallets. I think we have reviewed the Nifty wallet. That was another one that had that NFT feature. Usually these NFT features are not very available on these hardware wallets. So people who are really also into NFTs, well, this is going to be a very, very nice place to showcase them as well. But they don't actually have any type of documentation. Is it just for the EVM based NFTs, or actually are they supporting something beyond that? There's also support through the third-party software, which we are going to be talking about more as we get into the app phase. And then there's obviously the actual application on desktop as well. So the desktop version seems to be a bit more broader on terms of support of the tokens and everything compared to the actual phone application. But the phone application basically has almost everything out there. It doesn't seem to have every single coin though, so that's a very important thing. That the mobile version seems to have a bit more limitations on these things. So that's something that I do want to address here, that you're going to be getting a bit more broader experience when you are actually going to be using the desktop version for Windows or for Mac as well. I'm pretty sure that there's no actual Linux version. And I have to say that when it comes to the actual application, it's pretty straightforward. You can create multiple wallets inside it. There are, your usual stuff, like you can actually look at the market charts. There is the web browser function. So I tested out with things like Uniswap. So it's able to basically log into these types of things. And OneKey seems to have a lot more integrations in place contrasted to, like, let's say, Keystone. So I think there's a lot more compatibility. After Ledger, they're probably the second most compatible wallet out there in terms of like logging into things, and there's always Wallet Connect and these types of features. So there should be an ability to basically log into almost every single application out there with the thing. But this is always kind of tricky when we are claiming airdrops or we're doing stuff which requires us to interact with a dApp. For whatever reason, it can always be a bit tricky, but as far as I know, in my experience, there doesn't seem to be a lot of login issues. And there seems to be an upcoming support for actual OKX wallet, and also for there was another wallet which I seem to be forgetting right now, which they are building a support for. But there was two other ones alongside with the OneKey actual app. And there's also Earn tab, which is basically just way to get into getting yield for your assets. So the application is pretty good. It supports multiple accounts, and there are also different assets which are being supported here on the actual wallet, and that includes things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tron, Solana, Ton. There's Aptos, there's Algorand, Boba, Berachain, Celo, Celestia, Dogecoin, Phantom. There's many different wallets available, and those may not be immediately available. So when I was actually looking at the first time, I didn't see all of those things actually being listed there. So I guess they got added into, retroactively to the thing, or maybe it was due to an update or something that the wallet had to go through. So that's actually pretty good. But you have to obviously unlock some of these actually with the hardware wallet to get them working. Now, one of the things I obviously want to touch upon still is the actual supported crypto list. We just kind of went through a bit of those, but it's important to understand that for some consumers out there, maybe they just don't have Bitcoin or Ethereum assets. They want to hold also their XRPs, things like that. But there isn't necessarily support for all of them. So XRP, for example, is not supported, or actually does seem to be supported, but the network is actually showing up blank here. So I don't know what exactly that means. So in the app and the hardware, apparently you can support XRP, but I don't know what does it mean exactly by network. Maybe it doesn't support XRP tokens. But we got a lot of prominent things here like Solana, Tron. We got Ton over here. We got Sui. That's a very important one. So we want to have at least these top 100 other assets. We got Litecoin support over here as well. So it's very important to have support for these wallets, because we actually And for example, here you can see Monero only supported third-party wallet apps. So you have to actually download Monero GUI into the actual application, and then you can use Monero with it. But I mean, in terms of like the assets being supported, this has to be like number one or close number two to Ledger in terms of the total assets being supported here. So I'm kind of liking out. There's a wide category of things that come along with it that we don't have to worry about, like moving an asset here because it's basically being supported. So that's a very important selling point for me personally, to have many assets as possible, many chains as possible being supported on hardware wallet, because that's kind of the idea. We want to maximize the security, and it doesn't really help that if it's only supporting the EVM chains and Bitcoin, for example, which some of these hardware wallets actually only do. But I mean, kind of wrapping these things up, I definitely think that the pricing of the wallet is a bit more on the higher end compared to their other wallets. So you can go for OneKey Classic S1 Pure, and that is priced at $79. Or you can go for Classic 1S, which seems to be the same model that we reviewed. I don't remember it being called 1S. I think it was just OneKey Classic, so this may be a bit more improved version or alteration of that version, but that is only $100. So it is definitely a bit more on the higher end of the wallets, but in terms of the usage, my experience with it, the batteries and everything, it's definitely very, very high end. It's pretty smooth to use. Obviously, the touchscreen is not 60 FPS. Probably would be very expensive to do 60 FPS, as many even like modern phones are not in 60 FPS. That's like the only improvement I could basically see for this wallet. There's a lot of different features there, a lot of security things, which are not all like a must and everything. And I also think that interacting with the actual wallet is relatively easy, because in some wallets, the process of logging in, using these tap cards and all that with, you know, like with CypherRock, for example, that's not a convenient experience. So yes, there has to be the security element, but it doesn't have to come with a cost of like having to go a million steps to do a transaction or sign a transaction or something like that. So I do like the fact that it's a pretty convenient thing to use. It's something that you can fit into even a wallet phone case and or your pocket, and yeah, it's good material. Maybe it could use more metal parts to be more durable, and obviously there's danger at the screen might get scratched up, but it is what it is, and that's obviously the reality with any type of phone or any other hardware wallet with a touch screen. But thanks for watching, guys. I will be seeing you in the next hardware wallet review, as there's many to come in the future and other depend devices which I'm waiting for. But thanks for watching. I will be seeing you guys in the next video.